He's in tremendous shape and he's asking for one more match. What does the future hold for Mr. Mark Henry, and who could he give the rub to that I guess he's looking to do? We're going to talk about it in just a second, so stay tuned. This is Wrestle Extra.
What is good, gentle people? This is WrstlXtra. This is your boy A Dazzle alongside the main man Mex, the WrestleManiac. You are watching, of course, on the WrestleManiac UK YouTube channel and listening on AffinityExtra.com. Yes, as Mex said, the sexual chocolate himself, Mark Henry, formerly known as Sexual Chocolate, has this week or about a week ago now put it out there. He was on Booker T's Hall of Fame podcast, and they were just talking about general stuff, I believe. And then he said that he wants one more match. Mark Henry is now, I think, in his 50s. He retired. He's officially a Hall of Famer as well, so he had to retire before coming a Hall of Famer. So he retired a while ago now. What I think it's over 5 years, or is it a little less?
Let me have a look while you're talking about it.
Yeah. So Mark Henry has put it out there. He wants one more match. He's even been preparing himself for not just, he's just made mention of it. He's actually been preparing himself. He's lost weight. I think he said 80 pounds. In weight in the last few weeks or months. And the biggest reason why he wants one more match is because he believes, one, he can do it, but two, that he felt as if he went out in, I guess, the wrong way. He feels disappointed almost in himself that he went out the way that he did. And I think, you know what, even when it actually happened, I remember there was a lot of talk of, people asking the question, is he retired? Is he not? Is he retired? Is he not? Because there was no official word, no official announcement, no nothing. And the usual thing, for those that don't really know, the usual thing would be for a star of Mark's caliber, he's not the biggest star in pro wrestling, but he is a former WWE champion. That in itself is major. So most of these stars, when they retire or looking to go, they have one last match to where they have a farewell match, and usually they lose to either an up-and-coming star or someone that they want to establish a little bit further in the business. So for those that don't know, Ric Flair, he lost to Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels lost to, was it The Undertaker that he lost to?
Undertaker, yeah.
Undertaker. Kurt Angle lost to Baron Corbin. That's not the greatest example. And we've seen, we've seen The Undertaker lose to Roman Reigns. I mean, it didn't end up being the official farewell match. It wasn't, but we all thought it was. It was built up to be that way, and we know that from that match, Roman Reigns kind of went to another height. So Mark Henry believes that he needs that match to put someone else over, to make someone else a star, or as we say in the wrestling business, give someone the rub. That's not the greatest phrase on the planet either, but whatever, innit? So did you find out how? What did I ask? How long ago?
So he's 49 years old.
Okay. Oh, only touching 50. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So he's 49 years old, and he went into the Hall of Fame in 2018.
Not that far away. Not that far away. Okay. No, that's good. That's good. So let me give you my take on this straight away. So the main question people are asking, or the question that I asked even when I posted this on my page, and got a lot of answers, was who do you think Mark Henry should put over? Who should be the guy that he loses to, the farewell match, this is me, and this is the guy that I think should be the next big star, blah, blah, blah. There've been, some obvious ones. And for me, the one that my personal idea is this. So the name Keith Lee was thrown about. and Bobby Lashley was also thrown about. For me, you can involve both of them. You can easily involve both of them. And my idea was especially while Lashley is the champion right now, Keith Lee makes his return. Everyone's been waiting for this Keith Lee return. Everyone's expecting Keith Lee, Bobby Lashley at some point, whether it be a title match or just, they bump heads before someone else moves on to someone else, whatever. So you have that. And then eventually you'll have Mark Henry come out with Keith Lee. Not necessarily as his manager, not that official or whatever else, but just as, the person who's kind of got his back. And from that, and then with Mark Henry and MVP used to be tag team partners as well. Don't forget that. So that in itself got a little story to it as well. So those two can kind of butt heads. But then Mark Henry then gets into a match with Bobby Lashley. So he has a championship match with Bobby Lashley, maybe on Raw, because he's going to lose. Just have it on Raw. Just have to be a pay-per-view. But then eventually it allows Keith Lee to then move on. But somehow Keith Lee and Mark Henry then butt heads. And they have their match. Or even if they don't butt heads, they can have that match. And Mark Henry's like, all right, you're the man. Now you can go on to Bobby Lashley.
So I think it's now abundantly clear who's booking all the black people in the same segment on Raw.
Hey, come on. Hey, listen.
Guy. It is him. He's the guy. He's the WWE writer. He's been doing all this stuff. It's you.
Oh man, it's probably Jason Jordan, actually, to be fair.
It's probably Jason Jordan, it's true. You know what? I think Keith Lee is a bit of the obvious choice. I guess Bobby Lashley right now is up there. He's the champion. Doesn't necessarily need the said Rob that we're talking about.
Of course.
I don't think Mark Henry is a big enough name that if he kind of said to Bobby Lashley, right, give me one last shot at the title, that if Bobby Lashley overcame Mark Henry, I don't think he really gained.
Oh, no.
So yeah, with all due respect, Keith Lee, just because of even, they can play up the whole size, similar size sort of thing, which they love to do anyway. Keith Lee would probably be the natural choice and someone that they could even, with Mark Henry still maybe getting in shape and getting ready for this, Keith Lee hopefully returning because he's been off TV forever. They can literally use that as, like you say, then maybe they start as friends, and maybe it's Keith Lee that's maybe helping Mark Henry behind the scenes get back into shape.
Yeah. Even
eventually there's a turn there or whatever. Who knows? So yeah, I would say Keith Lee as well. I think it'd be really cool to have a little acknowledgement on screen of Bianca Belair and
that would be phenomenal.
Mark Henry as well, because obviously Mark Henry was the person that got Bianca Belair her way in, her trial into WWE. So even if it's just a little fist bump or something, I just think something there would be
just a one-off segment type of thing.
Yeah. But yeah, I can't think of anyone apart from Keith Lee that this kind of it writes itself for.
Someone made a very interesting point actually in the comments on that post, that what usually works best isn't the obvious two big men thing, but maybe the smaller guy. So now that you mentioned Bianca Belair, I think it would be interesting if it was Montez Ford. Somehow, I don't know. I don't want to call it, some jealousy storyline or anything like that.
Or even again, love that.
It doesn't. It doesn't. Wow, that would be amazing. Actually, imagine Mark Henry, sexual chocolate, trying to moves on Bianca Belair. That would be funny. But it would even have to be enemies. A lot of the time, sometimes it's just mutual friends and respect and all that kind of thing as well. So it doesn't. I can't think of how you would do it exactly, but. With the connection of Bianca Belair, I think Montez Ford, and we know Montez Ford is a future star. It would be criminal if that guy is not pushed to the hills in the very near future. Even in the next year, I can see the Street Profits splitting up. But let's not talk about that because that's another show altogether.
Well, don't say that.
Well, I think, to be fair, I think that's a very good point. No, the smaller guy, the bigger man, that type of thing, that type of dynamic usually works brilliantly. We've seen, Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins, for example. Just before John Cena became the biggest star that he was, we had John Cena and Big Show. I think that was when there were like US title type of stuff going on as well. And we've seen it a few times. So maybe that. But in general, do you think though that do you want to see Mark Henry come back? Like, does it even matter? Does he need to because he didn't do it the way that he wanted to, or whatever else? Does that even matter?
To me, no. To I guess that these guys themselves, they feel like, and I think from what we've seen of the likes of Mark Henry, he is very traditional. These guys that really respect how things happen in the business.
Very, very true.
If he expects
company guy,
if he thinks that, I need to give someone the rub, whether there is a rub there to give, whether his name value is big enough.
People, man. Stop rubbing up people, man.
This sounds so wrong, but please do not soundbite it. Listen to this in context. in case, like, I don't necessarily think the name value is massive enough, especially for these guys that we're mentioning who are kind of thereabouts already. Maybe if this was someone in NXT, a Swerve or someone like that, it might be a bit more impactful. I don't know, but I do like the shout for Montez Ford. For me, it doesn't do anything. If he wants one more match, he does look like he's in good shape, then cool. I think you give him the one more match or whatever the case is. But I'm not actually sure how much in terms of name value it's gonna be. Oh my god, this person beat Mark Henry. Like,
right,
I don't know.
Right. Yeah. That's very true. And for me, it's not like a necessity. It's not something I was thinking about. Not really fussed whether he does or doesn't. I'll be backing it if he does. But be hoping and praying that it's done in a good way. I wouldn't want it to be some kind of throwaway because it would just feel pointless. It's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. It's not. I'm not looking at it like, why would you bother? But at the same time, I'm definitely not looking at it as if to say, oh yeah, I want to see this. Definitely not.
I think last time we saw him on WWE TV, he was getting buoyed off by Randy Orton when he was on the scooter, if you remember. I think that was the Legends Night in January.
I believe so.
And Randy Orton was like, yes, get out of here. I've still got an arcade with your name on it and all of this kind of stuff. And that wouldn't have been the best way to kind of be last seen on TV either. So I guess if within himself, if he wants to right those wrongs and do what he feels is right, then cool. But we'll see. The High Flyer says here, thanks for joining us, bro. He said wouldn't mind Mark Henry backing Bianca as a manager, kind of.
That could work for a short time. Again, as kind of similar to what I said about Keith Lee. It wouldn't necessarily be official manager in the same way MVP is to Bobby Lashley or Paul Heyman is right at the moment to Roman Reigns, but just kind of a short while, someone that's backing them, someone, something like that, maybe. Maybe they come, for example, maybe this is just off the top of my head. Bianca Belair comes across someone like Tamina, maybe, who's big as well. So then Bianca gets some advice from a big guy. I don't know. Maybe something like that.
I was thinking more something like, let's say Mark Henry is going to bat for Bianca Belair backstage and stuff, like, so not quite the romance angle, which WWE love.
Let's not do
more
that.
like he's pulling a lot of strings for Bianca backstage, and
Montez
is like saying, "What's this guy like? Why is he doing overtime for you?"
That's a
good
good
one. I mean,
that's a good one.
So then he kind of gets jealous, but he knows there's no romantic connection, but he's just envy sort of thing. I don't know how they can do it, but if he wants to have one last hurrah, then let the man have it. Let
it happen, man. Let it happen. I don't see why not. I mean, if he's prepared and he has, seems to be prepared to put the work in, lose the weight, put the training in or whatever else, and dust off the cobwebs, then why not? Why not let it happen? Speaking of giving someone the rub, and creating new stars, we have seen on NXT the emergence of a new star known as Zayda Ramia. I can't remember if I'm saying am I saying that right?
That's
I don't
correct.
think I've ever actually heard her name being said yet. I've just read it. Zayda Ramia, I know her, and most people, if they do know her beforehand, would know her as AQA. AQA, who was a former student of Booker T down in Texas at Reality of Wrestling training school. She has only been wrestling for 3 years, I believe, not even 4 years yet. She became their women's champion twice over there on that indie promotion and was signed to NXT. I think it was the start of this year. I think it was January.
Yeah, January.
And she's made an appearance before in a tag team match about a month ago. But last week Wednesday, she made her singles appearance, her first singles match against the prime talent that is Toni Storm. Mm-hmm. Everyone knows Toni Storm is just paramount talent, former NXT UK Women's Champion, won the last Mae Young Classic, I believe, and is just expected to become a future NXT Women's Champion, and especially something more from there too. Zayda Ramia, this newbie, this rookie in many people's eyes, defeated Toni Storm. In your first match, you beat Toni Storm. That's like, I don't know, Colchester United beating Manchester United in the final of, maybe the semi-final of the FA Cup or something like that. It's like, huh?
Big ups.
Yes, albeit with a bit of help from Zoe Starks, who is also a bit of a newbie as well on NXT. But for me, the biggest part of the whole thing, not just the win, not just her being new, not just her being a very, very promising young black female. The big thing for me was that shooting star press.
I was so gassed when she done it. so I think she goes up top to do something. I think Toni Storm follows her up there, and I thought, okay, whatever, like she's gonna chuck her off. Mm-hmm. I think that's when the distraction came.
Yeah.
Toni Storm hits the mat, and then I'm literally like rising in my seat, like, oh my god, she's gonna do it, and she hit the shooting star press. Like a lot of people were actually poo-pooing it, like online. They were like, oh, like she didn't rotate enough. She could have landed on her neck and all of this kind of stuff. God. But like, if you've seen her previous stuff, that's exactly how she does it. That's her technique of doing it. Like, yeah, man, it's great. I think that alone is enough to really help boost her to get her over and stuff like that.
I think, without even trying to do that whole comparison too much, but there are so many things to compare Zayda Ramia to Ember Moon, in the sense where both of them are from Texas.
Just read my mind.
Yep, both of them from Texas. Both came from reality of wrestling, and both have a move from the top rope that will make them a star. And we've seen it happen with Ember Moon already. That eclipse, no one else does it. I don't even see any males doing it. She's pulled it off in so many different ways, done it on two people at once, and all this kind of stuff. So I for me, as soon as you said, that's gonna be a move that will propel her, it definitely will. Because here's the joke: she is the only US female to ever do that.
Yeah.
No other female can do it, or has done it, or has been seen to do it at least. I believe there are a couple of women who have maybe done it, Japanese women who have done it. But I know for a fact no other female, no other US female has ever done it. So she's got that under her belt. She's now done it on TV, where she's done it before, at least 3 times before, even once off a cage. Mm-hmm. Some people don't even know that. So for them to talk about she didn't rotate enough. Come on. Really?
New to this.
Really? She's not new to this at all. So yeah, man, I'm just psyched, and I just love the fact that, and I just love it when I see people, and I've mentioned this when we first saw Jade Cargill. I just love it when I see people who I've seen kind of come through, and then get to show everyone else what they can do, and then people see what I've seen for the last 2-3 years. Yeah, it's amazing. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with her. they're doing a lot with some of the with the new women on NXT
A
quite
lot.
quickly, and I don't know whether there could be a very good thing coming from it, but at the same time, it could be a bad thing as well if they push too many of them too quickly. You're almost asking for a few more casualties than triumphs in the long run. But right now they're in a good place. Right now, it's definitely in a good place, and I think NXT's women's division kind of needed it, to be honest.
Yeah. Just like you were saying, you read my mind, bro. Like, I never knew too much about Ember Moon when I first saw her make her NXT debut.
Yeah.
And when I saw that eclipse, I said, I'm sold.
Blew my
Like,
mind, bro.
give this woman the title today. Like,
Blew my mind.
yeah, she was good in the ring, but that eclipse was everything. And then, like, it kind of became a thing for who could sell the eclipse best.
Yes.
Even this happened with Cedric Alexander and the Lombard check as well on 205 Live. Anytime someone got it, it was like a competition between the boys and the girls. Who can sell this move the best? Like, and that's what the eclipse became. And obviously, there's not so much selling to do with the shooting star press, but it's obviously very impressive that she even has that accolade. First woman on national TV in America that's done this sort of thing. Like, and what you were just saying with the NXT women's division, I think the reason is because they say they've got this next NXT show coming.
Very true.
Maybe this is them trying to establish as many people so that we tune in to see them on that second show as well.
Right.
But you're completely right with the casualties thing. The NXT women's division has always been very stacked and not as many talents as now, just in terms of numbers, but it's always been like a premier division throughout WWE. And this is how they had casualties like Deonna Purrazzo, not getting an opportunity and eventually having to leave. Tay Conti as well, not getting a chance and then having to move on. So it's a good problem, I guess, but a problem nonetheless, especially if you don't have the amount of hours on TV to showcase the division or showcase the amount of people you're pushing through the door at one time.
Yeah. I as I said, it's as you said, sorry, it's a good problem. We're seeing new stars who are already established, and we're seeing new stars that are very new to so many people. And I think what I didn't even remember about the new NXT show. I don't know what they're doing with that. I know when they first announced it, there was talk of they already filmed a pilot show.
They did say,
and this is maybe about 2 months ago now, at least a month ago, and I've heard nothing about it since. So I thought we were going to see something by now. I'm not too sure what's happening with it, what the plan is, what they're going to do. Hopefully they will see what's been happening on Dark Elevation and do something better than that. Sorry, I always have to get that dig in there. I'm sorry, I just have to. But yeah, I'm interested to see what happens because they need to do something. But here's the other thing as well that happened in the last few days. WWE or NXT specifically have signed a new deal with Major League Wrestling. Yeah. Now, Major League Wrestling don't have a women's division as of now, so it's not necessarily for for the women's divisions. But at the same time, for the enhancement talent who have not been able to do the house shows, for example, in the past. Obviously, now COVID's about, no one's getting to travel and do shows. And I believe it's possibly a very good, I think it's a major thing. Sorry to the pun, Major League Wrestling. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. But I think it's a massive thing for these guys to have that platform. Major League Wrestling have also signed a new TV deal as well. So even they're on the up. They're going to be seen, on more eyes are going to be on them as well. To then have NXT wrestlers show up on there, and the possibilities are endless. Again, that just whets the appetite for dream matches, I guess. Myron Reed from Major League Wrestling against the likes of Swerve. Yeah. We could see Leo Rush. Against some new NXT talent again. So there's a lot of things that could happen with this NXT talent at the moment, and they have something to look forward to now. Whereas for the last year, they didn't really have much. It was just a few, like a small percentage that would get to be on TV. Whereas the wrestlers have just been in the performance center, wrestling each other in front of each other. You know what I mean? It's just not the same. It's not
I
the
hear
same.
that. It's probably it probably has been a bit underwhelming for them. My only thing, like personally, I want to see Calvin Tankman versus
Come
Bronson
on.
Reed.
Come
I
on.
need to see that
Come on.
colossal exchange. But
Come on.
I feel like we saw something similar with this with Evolve.
Yeah.
Evolve got swallowed in the end by
I,
WWE. So
but here's my thing. Because I hear that a lot as well, and I've seen that a lot. Obviously, the comments come through and all the rest of it. My thing is this: Evolve. The thing that happened with Evolve in them being bought out and blah blah blah. To me, this ain't facts. This is not facts, and I've not actually done the research. But to me, it happened mainly because of COVID. There was no shows going on, and it kind of just made sense. So it doesn't. That's not to say that WWE probably could have done it with other companies and blah blah blah, but no, because Evolve were there in their pocket more or less. And if WWE wanted to do anything for anyone, it would simply be easy for them to do it with Evolve. And then, as they've done, is take on quite a lot of the stars, and most of their stars in the last 3 years have come from Evolve as well.
Yeah, or wrestled there before.
Riddle, Keith Lee, Swerve, Leon Ruff, Austin Theory, Tony Nese, Cedric Alexander. There's so many. There's so many. And then what they were doing with the shows when they were sending NXT talent over there as well, it put Evolve on the map a little bit more than before. So
but
I don't know.
Thing. Why is so like MLW guys won't be coming to NXT from what they've said?
Yeah.
It's really gonna be one way.
Yes, that's true.
I guess it's like well, we've used a football analogy earlier, so I'll just continue. Like it's like when someone goes on loan. They're developing their talent, their skill. They're getting more, TV time essentially, and bettering themselves. And then I guess, like you're saying, it's going to be like, oh, NXT star whomsoever is on MLW TV, and that might make people tune into MLW. So I guess that's where it works. I don't want to see a situation where MLW get eaten up by WWE.
Yeah.
And I guess Evolve, like you're saying, whatever the reason was, if it was COVID, they were already in bed with Evolve anyway. Evolve was on the network and stuff. So it was a bit of a no-brainer in the end. F50 has said here, thanks for joining us today. He said, can see similarities with MLW, NXT to AEW and NWA. Short answer is it means more exposure to wrestlers on big scales, which is great.
Exactly that. Yeah, exactly that. And I, for me personally, I believe MLW would put themselves in a position where they are still protected as well. They've got a slightly different ethos in terms of wrestling when it comes to their shows. They're definitely more about the sport, and they've merged kind of like this MMA type of thing as well. We've seen the likes of I think Tom Lawler used to be an MMA fighter. He's a big star on that show. We've seen King Mo. King Mo probably turns up on MLW more than anywhere else as well. Another former MMA star. So I'm sure that they will try to do their best to still hold on and protect their ethos. It's not. Evolve was very similar to trying to be a WWE, where it was literally, wrestling and entertainment.
Yeah.
Whereas this is more
NXT light.
Yeah. Basically, where this is a little, it's very separate. It's very separate. So it's going to be interesting to see how they work it, and what goes on with that partnership. Speaking of partnerships, the segues are great today. Speaking of partnerships, but this one is a partnership that has ended. We've already seen the breakup of the Hurt Business. Unfortunately, I've kind of gotten over it already. Someone made a very interesting point last week, but we're not getting to that. That's another topic again. But Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin, who are former Raw Tag Team Champions, carried on as a team. And up until yesterday on Raw, for 3 weeks previous, they were just losing just devastating. Lost twice to the Viking Raiders 2 weeks in a row. Then lost to the new team of Matt Riddle and Randy Orton, known as RK Bro. That's worse than anything I would come up with.
It's so cheesy. It's just like whatever.
It's mad cheesy. I'm not too sure whether I like Randy Orton doing the cheesy thing, but at the same time, it shows his versatility, which is great. But Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin then had their little fallout yesterday, and as the young, brash Cedric Alexander compared to the older, more experienced Shelton, it was Cedric that did the whole talk of, why am I here with you? The has been. I'm in the prime of my life. This now is ended. Bro, how are you seeing this? What are you seeing coming from this? Anything good? Is it just curtains for both of them? Like, what is your take?
If they give these guys like 15 minutes, they'll have a brilliant match.
Yeah.
That's about it. There's nothing like it sounds so pessimistic, and we always try to be optimistic, but is just, they have no plans for these guys. This is just the way to break them up, so maybe they don't get pressured to put them in the tag division, give them a tag run. They can slowly and quietly send these guys, unfortunately, back to catering. This is just they're gonna have a feud. Maybe Cedric gets the win over Shelton, but they're not going to do anything with Cedric afterwards. I doubt it strongly. Like, it's a complete shame. It's like the Hurt Business. You said you've got over it, and so have I. But like, from how everything has played out thus far, there was no need for them to split.
No need. Nah, there was never any need to split, and we all knew, apart from Bobby Lashley becoming champion, we all knew the second that they split up, it would be curtains for every single one of them. Luckily, as I said, Bobby Lashley won the championship. He's fine. He's got something to hold on to. But we just knew that, and I think this is probably the reason, or not the main reason, but I guess the secondary reason why we were upset about the Hurt Business splitting up. One, because, we had this great black faction that wasn't about black power, blah, blah, blah. It was just great wrestlers doing great stuff. But we all knew that the second it blew up, the casualties would be Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander. It was a foregone conclusion, and we've seen it play out in the last 4 weeks. And I think, for me, the only thing we can pray for is a little bit of a series of matches between the two of them, but that's not happening. It would be phenomenal, because at the end of the day, let's be very real about this. Cedric is the new Shelton in terms of ability. What is about very much about the athleticism, all that kind of stuff. But still, very well built, very well rounded in his appearance. In his moveset, in his technicalities, and all the rest of it. But we're not gonna have this whole thing where Shelton, as the experienced guy, puts over Cedric, because they don't even care about Shelton anymore. If it weren't for MVP coming through and having words in Vince's ears in the back for however long, we wouldn't even be seeing Shelton Benjamin. He probably would have gone. I'm actually very surprised Shelton didn't go with the rest of them the other week when they did the cuts.
That's a good point.
Very, 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 very surprised. If I'm very honest, very surprised. So, and they, Vince has already said outright, before, that he doesn't care about Cedric, because when Cedric had his little bit of a run before the whole Hurt Business thing, that was Paul Heyman. And we all know about the casualties. We had Ricochet, Cedric Alexander, Aleister Black, and Andrade, and a few others that were like the Paul Heyman guys. Paul Heyman started to put them over when he was in charge of what's happening on Raw. As soon as that stopped, all of those guys disappeared. All of them disappeared from from seeing them on TV regularly. And I really don't see them pushing Cedric in any way, probably for a couple of weeks just to fill the time on Raw just to fill a segment. But then after that, he'll probably be running after the 24/7 championship, just like Lindsay Dorado and Drew Gulak and all these other people that you just like. Why have they still got a job? Yeah, just that whole catering job. Come out, catering. You know what? I can imagine some representative of the team on Raw walking into the room, catering. Guys, 24/7 time, everyone all gets up and starts running.
Oh, what way do you have to run? I'll just run that way.
We've got over there. This way this week.
Bro, like what I think they at least should have done is give them the tag team championship match against Omos and AJ Styles.
Yep.
Let them lose again, and then Cedric's motivation for his whole thing is look at us. We used to have those belts, and then he went on to say whatever he said and the split. Fam, when their match started, the show was on commercial break, so we didn't even get an entrance from Cedric Alexander and Shelton or from Lucha House Party.
Madness.
They came back from commercial break and 4 men were in the ring having a tag match. literally. So you've already told the viewer, we don't care about this. We don't care about this. We don't care about none of the guys involved in this. They were dominating the match. I don't even know what happened. I blinked and then I saw Lindsay Dorado do some suicide dive outside to Cedric. Metalik up on the ropes, elbow drop to Shelton, pinned him, done. Cedric got to the mic and switched. But there was just lack of motivation. Like, why are you so angry? You lost against the Lucha House Party. Like,
right.
You've been losing. Like, nothing different has happened. Like, I don't even know how they write these stories sometimes. And they didn't even have to, like, really and truly, how they put things together on this show. They could have just told him to sit in the back and done.
Just not even have them come out. Just not even have them come out for anything, bro. Because all they've done is come out just to lose after being Raw Tag Team Champions and also being part of a faction that also had the Tag Team Championship and the World Championship. And you were the biggest thing, or the most entertaining thing. Majority of people would say that they were the most important thing on Raw for at least a month or two before WrestleMania happened.
Way before that, obviously, Bobby Lashley was US champion.
Like, I think around
last year. Like,
right. From that time, they were part of the most important thing in wrestling. Let's be real, in wrestling. And now you're coming out to lose. I would rather be in the back and not come out. Straight up. I'd rather be sitting eating hot dogs, bro.
Cedric, Shelton, your segment. No, I'm all right. Thank you. No, it's all right.
Yeah. 24/7. No. I'm good.
I don't fancy it.
Hot dog yet. Just putting the mustard on. Just not today.
Like, literally, with this segment now, WWE have actually committed to telling a story between Cedric and Shelton.
Right.
So we all have the right to judge them in the next week or 2 weeks as to how this story is going to play out, because they didn't need to do this. So now they've put themselves in the hot seat. Let's see what they do.
I don't want to see. I don't care.
This is it.
I don't want to see.
Well,
it's crazy. It's crazy. Let's go. Let's walk through the forbidden door. And make our way to AEW. Another guy that has been kicking down the doors, making a bit of a statement in the last week or so is Scorpio Sky. Scorpio Sky, we love talking about Scorpio Sky, but I do. But he's got this weird, as we both said I think it was last week, this weird partnership with Ethan Page. I'm still not sold on it. The kind of, they bounce off each other nicely, but it's still kind of like, okay, I don't really get it. I'd rather both of them be on their own. Yeah. But both of them have attacked Darby Allin 2 weeks in a row. But Scorpio Sky focused on Sting last week. I'm like, okay. What can we do here? Now, we know we're not necessarily going to get Sting in a match, unfortunately, the icon. But my mouth's watering at the Scorpio versus the Scorpion.
They can do it.
It can be done.
I don't
It
think
can
it's
be
far
done.
fetched.
It's a
Double or
one-off, 1
nothing
week
is.
thing and leads to Darby Allin, Scorpio versus Darby Allin. But I think it's something that can be done. Scorpio Sky also does the same Scorpion Deathlock Sharpshooter submission move as well. So you can play it up for a week or two. But again, unless you're giving me Scorpio Sky versus Darby Allin and the winner being Scorpio Sky, because I don't want to see him lose for a third time. No, just no. But yeah, this whole TNT thing, man, I just don't get it. If I'm honest,
I think there's more chance. Maybe like you're saying, because I didn't even pick up on the fact he went after Sting like that.
Yeah.
Too tough. But Scorpio versus Scorpion has a nice little ring to it. That could be a what do they call it? Cinematic match at Double or Nothing, which is
possibly
in maybe about a month's time now, which is already in May.
Mm-hmm.
It could happen. They could look to do something like that with Sting to put Scorpio Sky over, and then from there he literally goes for Darby again and wins this time, because that would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I can't lie. I just right now I don't care. Him and Ethan Page, because for me, I'm thinking, right, if one of them gets the better of Darby Allin and wins the TNT championship, the other has to go immediately after that guy. So what is this fake friendship? Like, what is this? I don't get it. I'm really not into Ethan Page. Like, Scorpio Sky, I'm just holding on to by a thin thread. But Ethan Page, I just do not care about.
It shows, and I say it all the time, and I don't care how many people come back at me or whatever else, but it shows the cracks in the whole booking when it comes to AEW, because we've seen this type of thing before, where Ricky Starks was going for the TNT Championship. But then all of a sudden, his friend, who's also part of the same group, Brian Cage, was also going for the TNT Championship.
Yeah.
Which one are you pushing? Which one's going to get it? And as you said, if one of them were to win it, the other one's coming after you as well. So what? I don't get this.
Yeah.
I don't get this type of booking. It's one or the other. And again, I don't see the point in them two being together. As I said, that they do have a chemistry in terms of the entertainment level and on the mic and all that kind of stuff. Some of the backstage stuff that I've seen, it's fine. It is actually good. But at the same time, it still just makes no sense as to where you're going with it, why they're even doing it. And again, unless it's leading to Scorpio Sky winning that championship, bro, what are we doing?
Yeah. That's it. I just right now they seem very much behind Darby. Darby wasn't defending that title at all between January and February. After Revolution, he's had an amazing run, defending it every week, even though he's not looking like super strong in the matches. He's escaping all these matches.
Bored, he's not a bad wrestler, but I'm bored. It's repetitive, man.
It is. But right at this point, because it's happened so many times, I'm actually finding it comedic. Like I'm waiting to the part in the match of how he's gonna slip out and somehow win.
right. And he's not convincing. I'm sure this week he'll probably face another member of Dark Order.
Yeah.
Like there's no one else to wrestle.
Yeah, well, I guess they're putting over the whole Dark Order thing because of Brody and what he meant to the championship stuff. But yeah, I mean, for Scorpio Sky, obviously we want the best for him, but I'm just
they're not doing
bored.
it.
They've got too many guys, and this begs the question of why they signed Ethan Page, because they've got too many guys in that same bracket.
Right.
And if I'm being completely honest with myself, Miro is probably the next TNT champion. The way they're building him and all of that kind of stuff right now.
But do you think they're building him towards TNT or the World Championship though? I mean, it would make sense for it to be the TNT, but from what I've seen, and not a lot, but what I've seen, it feels as though he's gonna push for the world.
there's an element of him being too big for the TNT championship
Right.
in a way.
Almost.
But
Yeah.
I think it's the story that they're telling with Darby, because Darby can't die, and Darby's
Mm.
escaping everybody. He ain't gonna escape Miro. Like Miro's gonna have to really turn on his destruction switch to win that title, basically, from Darby. So I think that's more where they're going with it, because of how they're booking Darby, not necessarily how Miro looks right now, even though it's an improvement. But yeah, man, I think there's too many guys in that same bracket. Some that aren't even getting on TV at all. And Scorpio Sky, he's not standing out enough to be the one to break from that bracket into one of these title pictures.
Yeah. That's very true. They're doing this whole, attacking ring and stuff like that. And if that doesn't lead to an opportunity at some point, obviously it would all be pointless. But I definitely don't see that opportunity becoming a win. And for me, again, as we've said, with it being a third opportunity for Scorpio Sky, it would kind of feel like pointless for him to even have another one if they're not pushing that.
Gonna pull the trigger,
Yeah, exactly. Especially being, what was it again? The ring. What was the ring? The face of the evolution. What was it?
Revolution.
Yeah, that's. He's the face of bad booking, bro. That's what it is. That's what's happening right now.
Literally.
The face of bad booking. Man, moving on. I mean, moving on to other things as well. We've seen, even on Impact, what's going on. Where's Moose? I'm still waiting for Moose. Chris Bay came back, which is great, which is nice.
Yeah. Good to see him.
They are actually building to this whole number one contender thing. There's going to be a 6-man match.
Yeah, some type of gauntlet, something to see who's going to be the number one contender.
Yeah.
But like, one thing on Impact quickly, I just felt again, like, so I'm tuning in now to see how they're going to deal with this matter that their championship has gone.
I've given up, bro. Until you put this news in my face, I've given up, bro.
Bro, I'm thinking the man comes out, Scott D'Amore comes out, and he's telling all the wrestlers on the roster what's happened, and there's no rematch clause. Why is there no outrage? Like, our championship has just left the building. Right? There is no outrage at all. Right? Like, everyone's just waiting to see what he has to say. Like, shouldn't you be angry? Shouldn't everyone in there be annoyed, frustrated? Let me be the guy to go back there and get it. Like, there's no kind of that kind of leadership and standing up and taking charge of the situation.
Right.
Meanwhile, on AEW, they just throw up a little picture of my man that has all the belts, but they don't actually acknowledge how he got this belt. Like we said, like,
what's going on?
I said this forbidden door is broken, bro. Someone needs to go to B&Q and get a new one. Like, this is dead, bro. this ain't what we were promised. I'm sorry.
A man said B&Q, get a new door. Man, no, honestly, bro, someone needs to close this door real quick because it's just not happening, bro. It's not happening at all. One nice thing is El Phantasmo, who most people will see from New Japan, is coming to Impact. Yeah, that should be interesting, especially in an X Division match. Yeah. Hopefully with maybe even with Ace Austin, Chris Bay, or TJP. Any one of those three, you're getting a phenomenal match. Or Trey Miguel. Trey Miguel, El Phantasmo would be ridiculous, bro. Yeah. That would be amazing. But going back to this whole World Championship thing, for me, as you said, I just don't get this whole lack of, I guess, impetus to say, boom, I'm the guy to bring back, or why have we allowed this guy to run away with our championship and he doesn't even want to show up? There was this whole thing. Scott D'Amore was like, if he doesn't turn up, then I'll strip him of the championship. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. And then he turned up on Zoom, bro. He was on a Zoom call. Strip that championship. Zoom call. But, for me, looking at possible contenders, possibly who could beat Kenny Omega, it's only Moose. Sami Callihan, I think, is a possibility in terms of it making sense. But I'm just like, well, we've got to build. We've got to build some kind of tension and some kind of excitement and whatever else. So a 6-man match, and I'm sure Impact always put on good multi-person matches. It's almost like that's their shtick
Their thing.
from a very long time ago. So that you know that's going to be an exciting match, but the eventuality has to be Moose, and I'm going to say this until this guy becomes the champion on that show, because I'm just like it's just completely pointless him being there if that's not what we're building to, and he's not the guy to beat Omega. And again, this whole lack of acknowledgement from both promotions, if I'm honest, but especially obviously AEW, but it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm gonna lose my hair. Not that I've got any left to lose. Talking about this man, bro, it's just ridiculous. Ridiculous.
It's not been done.
It is not the one. With us having only about 10 minutes or so to go of the show, let us go and look deep down in the depths of the wrestling week and see who we can pick out as our stars of the week. I'm going to go straight in there straight away because I had this person in mind literally 6 days ago, and that is Zayda Ramirez. It just has to be. For me, soon as I saw the Shooting Star Press, she's beaten someone the likes of Toni Storm. It just had to be her. It's amazing. Again, as I said before, she's been wrestling for less than 4 years. Still very young. Still got a lot of things that she can do. A lot of promise. So for me, it has to be her. And I'm sorry, mate, because I know there's no one else to choose. So I don't know who you're going to choose now.
I know who I'm going to choose. But the Zayda Ramirez performance, the story there, going to be very interesting. I'm sure they will probably have Toni Storm up against her again, and Toni Storm will get her win back.
I'm
that's
sure.
Usually how these things happen, but just very entertaining. Well, obviously, when she won, big shocked face. I don't know if you saw on the WWE.com, she had Zoe Starks was being interviewed, and she kind of bowled into picture a load of explicit language of like, I can't believe it, like, so, she was really entertaining, but definitely deserved. My choice is Street Profits and Bianca Belair. They were in a mixed tag match against the Dirty Dogs, Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode and Bayley on Friday Night SmackDown. And now I know obviously Dawkins was in the Performance Center long before Montez Ford then arrived, and then they started building their chemistry, and then Bianca Belair comes along and finds her husband and all of that kind of stuff. Right. But these three wrestled that match as if they've been wrestling together their entire lives.
Bruv.
The chemistry was off the chart. Like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
It's stuff like that brings a tear to my eyes, bro. It's that real. It's that real. When, as you said, man, Dawkins has been around for a while. Montez Ford comes through, finds his wife in Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair becomes a champion. Them two, all three of them are just like boom, 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 boom. It was great, and even to see Bianca mixing it up then with the guys, because obviously usually with mixed tags, especially in the WWE, if the women are in, the women are in, the men are in, the men are in. That's it. There's very little or to no interaction between the two genders. But then you saw Bianca picking up Dolph Ziggler, the hair whip on Bobby Roode to kind of help, begin the end of the match. It was just, it was crazy, bro. Crazy
chemistry. I was thinking, it makes sense. Maybe on the NXT house circuit, these guys must have worked together in some capacity before,
I think they did, actually.
I was thinking these guys have done this before. Like, it was too smooth at times. Honestly, at times they were making me get in my feels and take me back to a place where I growing up, I loved the Hardys and Lita.
Right.
I absolutely love them. Right. This is all I felt like. I just felt the smooth chemistry between them. Although the Hardys, the way their matches were usually wrestled, they were victims until the Swanton Bomb came. But
that's true.
These guys dominated the match. Like I say, they were so smooth with everything. I think it was the spine buster by Dawkins into Montez Ford, just springing off the ropes into that frog splash. Like, the guy is too good. All three of them, like, honestly, they need to be protected. Like,
that's true. Actually,
I held my hands up. We worry about Dawkins.
We do.
Once the eventual separation will happen, but That guy has got enough to be a mainstay in WWE as well. You know, WWE and their booking might say otherwise, but yeah, man, this was the whole SmackDown was brilliant, but this was a good, really standout match for me. So yeah,
man. It's crazy how different Raw and SmackDown are. It's crazy how different they are. I don't get it. It's been like that for a while. I think there was a little bit of a blip with SmackDown for a bit when they almost when they first did the whole Fox thing, and that was almost like for a little while it was almost being used as the A show, just to get the Fox deal over, I guess. But it's crazy how different those two shows are. I can sit down and watch SmackDown. I struggle to watch Raw. It's way too many backstage segments. You know, when I do, I noticed this actually just yesterday when I do my my review of the week of WWE. What I usually do, here's a bit of a behind the scenes look into what I do. What I do is obviously I've created what I did for last week. All I do is go back to that same thing and just edit what I need to edit, change the picture, change the wording, blah blah. Bro, when it comes to Raw, I'm not changing anything. I could leave the picture. I could leave the description. I could leave the so-and-so defeated so-and-so. I could leave it and it would be exactly the same.
Rinse and repeat.
Oh, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely crazy. But
bro, I was on Raw yesterday. Obviously, I watched Raw this morning. MVP was in 4 talking segments. Now, MVP is a great talker. Love what he's been doing with the Hurt Business.
Of course.
But, bro, like he was saying a whole bunch of nothing. Just because they have nothing else planned for the show.
Right.
They're just sending people out. And they done this to Drew, I think it was last week. They sent Drew out in 4 segments last week. And I'm thinking, but you're here releasing people because there's no creative for them. You've clearly got the time. So, you know, what is this all about?
Right.
Because you're going to make, this is how they've made Drew kind of be overexposed to the point where people are getting bored of Drew.
Yeah.
You know, MVP.
They're lucky there's no crowd.
Yeah, exactly. MVP is not in a wrestling capacity like that. He's obviously got like managerial duties, but sending one guy out in 4 segments to tell this same wash story between these 3 guys, like it's...
Bro, and the joke is, Braun Strowman broke a record last week, becoming the first man to be in a handicap, tag team, and singles match in the same night.
On the same night?
Last week.
Did they even say that? They didn't say that, did they?
They didn't mention that. I saw that on Twitter or Instagram like a couple of days later.
There you go.
Tells you everything.
They don't even know what's happening on their show.
No, they don't. They don't even. I don't think they didn't even realize what was happening. They didn't mention it. They didn't even realize what was happening. It just happened.
I'll say Mansoor that debuted last night.
Yep.
Yeah, it was on a 50 match run on 205 Live. Wasn't even mentioned.
Right.
Wasn't even mentioned.
Right. Bro, I don't know. And yet us like mugs are still watching this show, still spending our time talking about this stuff for an hour.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Things will change, I'm sure. But, until then, until next week, hopefully some stuff will happen that we can talk about excitedly. But no, shout out to everyone that joined us on the show today. Thank you for watching us here on the WrestleManiac UK YouTube channel. Of course, for listening on affinityextra.com. Check us out on our pages, which are a lot more exciting than the week of wrestling.
Oh, we're gonna get Swerve and Leon Ruff tonight on NXT Street Fight, I believe. That
should be a good one. And there's another street fight with the women's tag team championships as well.
That's correct. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Swerve and Leon Ruff is Falls Count Anywhere.
Falls Count Anywhere, and then the street fight with Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart versus The Way. So that actually should be it's NXT. Come on, it's NXT. That's gonna be exciting.
We can trust NXT.
Yeah, exactly. Let's just turn this show into Wrestle NXT. You know what I mean? Just talk about NXT every week. That'll be fine. It'll be good.
Yeah.
But check us out on our pages. You can find Mex on the WrestleManiac UK on Twitter, WrestleManiac.UK I swear, bro, my throat hurts.
.uk.
On Instagram, and also the Kick Out podcast, and a few other places you can find him as well. Of course, you can find me in the only place I like to be, which is Instagram. Our Black Wrestling Alliance. That is it. We're done. 1 hour. We managed to do it, and I'm not going any further. Folks, thank you for joining us, and we will see you again next week.